But there's one other thing that I want to talk about when it comes to Charmander. Now I know this one is just a fan theory, and it's definitely not proven in any way, but it is a fan theory, and we're going to talk about it anyways, is the relationship between Charmander and Cubone. Right? Because we all know if Charmander's flame goes out, he unfortunately, he dies. Right? But what the thought is that they don't die. They actually turn into Cubones, right? Which I don't fully understand or follow when that happens. But he turns into a Cubone, and the skull that he wears on his head is from the dead mom of the Charmander, which of the Charizard. It still doesn't fully like form to it.
So I actually like watched a big thing about this theory a few months ago. It's so good.
Okay.
It's actually really good and very convincing.
Okay.
Quite frankly. Because if you think about it, like what like the way it started was whenever a Charmander is first born, right?
Yeah.
If like it said that the mama Charizard has to keep that flame stoked, right?
Yeah.
On his tail. It's part of like the nurturing part that she keeps that going, you know, and until he's able to sustain it on his own. But if the mom dies during that process, right, it never gets to the point where it's sustained on its own, and so that flame just kind of dies down. And he's no longer a fire type Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
And so he changes to that ground type, and the skull. If you pull up a photo, also the skull of the mom is what he puts on his head, and he mourns because it said that Cubone mourns with the skull of his mom on his head, right? And over time he evolves into a Marowak. But when you look at the skull that Cubone has on his head, it doesn't necessarily just look like a normal Cubone skull. Like
it's got the little spikes.
It's got the spikes.
It's got the spikes. It's got the characteristics of what a Charizard's head would look like. So that's what makes the theory somewhat believable. Is that a Cubone is just a Charmander who lost the flame to his tail, and then took the skull of its dead mother, which is super morbid if you ask me, and put it on his face to mourn. That's a dark part of Pokemon, but
which makes sense with the Pokedex entry.
It does. It does,
because it says that Cubone wears the skull of its dead mom.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, like you know, where do I mean.
It's not a Marowak scale. It's not a Marowak skull, because we know Marowak doesn't have those spikes. That's what makes it so believable. Is those spikes on the back of the skull do represent what a Charizard would have on the top of its head. So it does kind of tie into that. It's possible. It's definitely possible that Cubone is just an unflamed Charmander. Damn.